Welcome everyone to this new Isaac video. Today I want to share with you this amazing achievement that I recently got and discuss about all the little details that are involved in this fight. In the end, I'm sure that you'll be able to take this tedious fight to another level. And without anything else, let's start. The first thing that I want to say is why? Actually, there are two whys in this section. The first one is why you did something useless like this, and the second is why spun? Well, the answer is pretty simple for both of them. The first one, I want to be able to defeat Mother constantly, every time, and for the second one, spun is probably the best way to incorporate the basic necessity in order to win. Let me explain better this point. I wanted to show a realistic game that can be played every day, so I needed a mediocre speed stats. But the real problem was the damage. Actually, there is a gap of damage where the win rate jumps from really low to really high. And that gap is 10 damage. How, could you ask? Well, it's because of these. They have exactly 10 HP, and in order to kill them in one shot, I need more than 10 damage. Fortunately, Spawn provides that. The maggots are brutal if you can kill them in one shot, especially after the ball attack when Mother spawns a bunch of them. We've talked about why. Now the fun part starts. We've reached the how, and it's surprisingly easy if you think about it. Let's start with all of her attacks. There are 5 patterns that she can do. The main knife attack, the punch attack, the worm attack, the rush attack, and the ball attack. These are the wiki pattern, but I'd like to make some changes. There we go, much better now. Don't worry, I'll explain everything now. Starting with the first, we should explain what is her main pattern that she'll going to use more frequently than the others. Let's analyze what we see. This is what I call the easy knife. When Mother tries to grab something behind their shoulders, you know that you need to prepare for a knife. You don't know which version you'll get, but in both cases, what you need to do first is run in the corner. If it's the easy version, congratulations, you avoided the attack. Otherwise, you'll need to do something else. Now I'll show you the hard version of the knife. In these cases, you can't stay in the corner because the little tear will hit you. This time you can try to run up, but it's almost impossible to do that in a reliable way. What I do is wait until the last second and then do a step above just to avoid that tear. Be careful because if you are not perfectly in the corner, the other 2 tiers will hit you. Another thing that you need to know is that she will make the same easy or hard attack until the next ball attack. If you see that she did an easy attack, you know that the following knife attack will be easy until the ball attack. Next up we have the punch attack, probably the easiest that we'll see. This one is just a radial stream of tears and the spawn of 3 to 4 worms. The only thing that you need to do is get rid of the worms as soon as possible, or the next attack will screw you up. Move on to the worm attack. This is divided in 2 sections, the left arm and the right arm. Mother's fist will explode, and a lot of human tears will chase you. If it starts from the right arm of Mother, so the arm on our left, you are probably safe, because the only thing that you need to do is stay in the center for a bit, then make a circular move upwards to avoid all of the warp. Otherwise, if the attack comes from the left arm, so the right on our screen, the attack becomes really difficult. You have to dodge basically every tier without a proper pattern, because the worms are much more chaotic than the other arm. I usually try to stay in the center and let them chase for a bit in the left, and I usually manage to get away with little effort. Now it's time for the rush. This part is pretty rare in a normal modern fight, but in the challenge that I've done, I saw it every try and at least 2 times per try. It usually comes after the ball attack, but it's not always like that. This part consists in lots of enemies that runs from the bottom to the top of the screen, ignoring you. They'll ignore you totally. They'll follow a straight line with constant speed until they reach the top. At this point, Mother will hit them and shoot on top of us. To avoid the attack, you'll need to not contact of any of the gaper on the rush, and to not get hit from the thrown ones. For the first part, it's pretty easy, just move in a way that you don't collide with them. For the second part, Mother throws them directly on top of you in the moment that she hit them. So, if you constantly move, you'll never get hit. This section is not totally true, just for one statement. If you move in the direction where the gaper is thrown, you'll get hit. The only thing that you need to worry about this part, outside of what I said before, it's the start and the end. For example, it's really common that you don't recognize the start of the attack and the gaper spawns on top of you, hitting you. Or even at the end, if you are too close to Mother, she will hit you with contact damage. I really haven't tried this, but I think that the dirt at the end of the pattern that kills all the gaper won't hit you. For the final part of this first section of this fight, we have the ball shot. It consists in a fistula boss that bounces around, leaving tears every time that it hits the bottom wall. The main thing that you need to do is trying to keep the ball with a vertical orientation in order to dodge the tears and the ball from the bottom. The moment you have to dodge that going upwards, it means that you are in danger. Usually I stay in the center, and when I dodge the ball, I try to align myself with the point where Mother will throw the ball next. This way I manage to keep the ball in the same line every time. The only thing that you absolutely have to avoid is standing next to the back wall, because the tears will hit you there. The end of the pattern consists in the destruction of the fistula and the dispersion of a lot of small fistulas around the screen. To avoid it, you just need to stay in the corner. The problem now are again maggots. Everything explodes, and a lot of maggots will spawn. As before, you have to kill them all, because if Mother does a difficult pattern like a right arm wall, you are screwed. Okay, for now this was the easy part of this fight. All of these patterns are pretty constant, and there is a few chaos. Now we can start the hard section, the second phase. This time Mother has just 4 patterns that you need to know, and just one of them is chaotic. The patterns are Mother Rush, Vortex, Vacuum, and Grid. Let's start with the Mother Rush, the only constant part of this phase. Mother will disappear, and there will be an indicator in the top right or left that shows where Mother will start the first rush. If the indicator shows you the right, you'll need to move to the left, because Mother will rush from the top right corner to the bottom right corner. The second rush is right next to the first, and it will come from the opposite direction and side of the first rush. When the second rush is done, Mother will fall exactly in the center of the room, moving the floor a bit. This attack is not difficult at all, but you need to focus on not staying too much in the way in order to not take it. Another thing that can hit you in this phase is the final worm rain, and trust me, it happens a lot. What is it? Well, basically when Mother hits the ground, we'll shoot in the air some worms, not many, but enough to have a chance to lose, and to me it happens quite a few times. Now it's time for the hardest pattern of Mother, the vortex. This is the hardest because you have to be incredibly precise in your movements, and you also need to start the pattern in the right angle. Let me explain. The attack consists in a storm of tears that follow a strange pattern. The only safe way to dodge this is by moving in a circular path, counterclock. Every other tactics would fail. The problem with this is that if you try to do this close to Mother, for example if you are blocked by a wall, you won't be able to pass, because the tiers are just too close one to another, and this is a problem. The only way to avoid this is to be prepared for a possible storm and put yourself in a good starting position. For me, my right position is the bottom left corner, if I need even the top right corner, but absolutely avoid the closest wall to Mother. That's the easy way to die. Move on to the vacuum. In this phase, Mother will absorb particles from behind you and then shoot them at your spot. When they hit a wall, this particle ball will separate in smaller balls. And then, when the smaller balls hit another wall, they separate in a radial pattern, just like the ball shot from the previous phase. As you can see, this phase is really chaotic, but we can do something to increase our chances to survive. The first thing is using Mother as a shield, and that's because her body counts as a wall for the bigger balls. You have to be careful, because the smaller ones will go through her. Another thing that I like to do is trying to force her to shoot me when her first ball will explode in the corner. This way, most of the remaining smaller balls will explode as well in the same spot, resulting in an easier way to dodge the other ones. For the final pattern of this fight, we have the greed shot. This strange attack uses a grid of super fast worm in order to hit you. Basically, when the attack starts, there will be some highlighted lines. That's where the worms will go. After the worm is gone, there will remain lots of small tears on the line track, which will remain until the next series of worms arrives. Usually the direction of the line switches between horizontal and vertical every time, but near the end it's frequent to see two of the same type in a row. To dodge this last type of shots, you'll need to find a gap between the old tiers and put yourself in a safe spot. This attack is somehow really difficult sometimes and really easy other times. It depends on luck. The only thing that can screw you up hard is when you are in the opposite wall of where the worms will arrive. Sometimes in those vertical cases, you might not see clearly when the highlighted line is, and you have to take a guess on that. It's finally time. I hope that this video will help you reaching higher level on Isaac, and helps you to complete all of your marks easier. Now, the real section begins. Here you go. This is how I beat the hardest boss with no hits, only with spun. Enjoy!